Hi, my name is JQ, and you're watching Heart Alchemy Yoga. Today we're going to learn how to do crow pose with an option to take it up into crane. And we're also going to teach a slightly easier variation that I refer to as flying frog, although I've heard it called a few different names. So let's just start by warming up our hands. Anytime you're doing anything on your hands, be it handstand, chaturangas, push-up, it's important to warm up your wrists because, hair tie, because your wrists aren't used to bearing this much weight. Now, if you think about the heel of your hand, you have this, or the heel of your foot, you have this big bone right here that can bear a lot of that weight. You don't really have that bone in your hand. You have lots of little bones in here. So what we need to do is make our hands stronger and make our forearms stronger so that our wrists aren't hurting after a couple minutes of training. So the best way to start is just to shake your wrists out a little bit. So you can sit down, you can stand up, whatever feels good. Take your hands, roll them. To show you slowly, you would just take your hands to one side, back towards you, towards the front and other side. And then pick up the pace to whatever feels comfortable for your body. Good, and shake them back out again. And then come onto all fours. And we're just gonna rock our weight back and forwards. This is your first time you're putting your hands down. Take a second to look at your hands. Your fingers should be evenly spread apart. Pinkies have a tendency to overextend and go a little further when you spread. So think about keeping your pinkies kind of neutral and spreading the rest of the fingers. You want to have a nice wide foundation. Sirens. We want to have a nice wide foundation through the hand so that we feel a little bit more stable, a little bit more supported. So again, we're just rocking the weight back and forth here. Make sure to put pressure down into the base of your pointer finger and then also push through the pads of your fingertips. If you could imagine like a tree frog, that's kind of what you want your hands to look like. Good, now flip your hands around, fingertips pointing towards your knees. And if this is too intense, you can walk your hands back closer to your knees to make it a little bit less intense. I like a nice deep stretch in my forearms. And then you can just start to sit your hips back and just push through the heel of the hand. And breathe. Great. Flip your hands over, top of the hand goes down, palm goes face up, and then gently rock back. This is really intense on the wrists, so don't put a lot of weight on your hands. Most of my weight is on my knees right now. I'm just using leverage to stretch out the back, or the front of my, back of my forearm front. It's early, bear with me. All right, let's shake it out again. So this next exercise is to strengthen your forearms. Start on all fours. And just like rocking the wrists side to side, when you do this, the more weight you have forward, the more weight you put on your hands, the more weight is back on your knees, the easier this is going to be. So when you lift the heel of your hand, push down through the base of the pointer finger and the middle finger. And then release down. And press up and down. And you can make this harder by putting more weight forward, up and down. Or if you're super advanced and you have really strong forearms, maybe you want to try taking this into a push-up. Let's do about 3 more. Up, down, up, down, up, down, and release. Shake your hands out. Very nice. Now we're going to warm up our core a little bit, just so that we have some strength supporting us as we try to float our bodies up into the air. Start by laying on your back. Bring your shins up parallel to the floor. And then take your hand and slide it underneath your back. Notice how there's space there. Push your back into your hand like you're trying to smush your hand into the floor. Feel your belly button pulling down and your ribs pulling down. Your tailbone is rounding under just a little bit. Now slide your hand out from there and see if you can push your back into the floor. Just holding this should start to warm up your core, be a little bit challenging. If If you're ready for a little bit more, you can lift the chest and roll the shoulders up. Keep pushing your lower back into the ground. Maybe fly your arms forward. Now you get to determine how challenging this is. For me, I can kind of hang out somewhere around here. I'm not pushing that hard, and I'm not going to be shaking. But if I wanted to get a lot out of this, I would really push my back down into the floor firmly, and I can get myself to shake. And if you want to make it even harder, keep your lower back down, start to take your legs a little bit away from you. I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'm shaking right now. So if you aren't shaking at home, push your lower back down further. And release. Pull your knees into your chest, rock side to side. Very good. We'll do that same thing. Take your knees up, quads perpendicular to the floor. Press your lower back down, belly button in, inhale. And exhale, lift the shoulders. I'm just going to stay here again, breathing. And slowly start to extend your legs out. Lower them as far as you can without losing your lower back connection. And then pull them back in. And last one, relax. Nice. Grab onto the back of your knees and rock and roll yourself back up. All right, so next part. We need to warm up our shoulders a little bit. In crow, I see a lot of people try to do this with straight arms, and that is an option, but it's a lot harder than doing it with bent arms. So let's get in a few quality chaturangas to warm up our arms. Tuck your toes under, come into a high plank. As you inhale, push forward on your toes. Now, not using your feet, using pressure on your hands pushing forward, press yourself back. Again, inhale, go forward. Exhale, press back. So I'm using my shoulders, I'm using my hands to push myself back. Remember to check in with your hands. Make sure you've got that nice flat palm, tree frog fingertips, and pushing down through the base of the pointer finger. This time as you inhale, you have the option to use your knees if you need a little extra support, or keep them lifted. As you exhale, bend your elbows down to 90 degrees for chaturanga. Hold it here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, push back up. Inhale. Exhale down for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it. Exhale, press back up. And take a down dog just for a second. Stretch out your shoulders. Give yourself a little wiggle. All right. Are you guys ready to do crow yet? Don't get too excited. We're going to do something else first. So first thing I'd like to teach you is what I lovingly refer to as flying frog. For obvious reasons, you look like a frog in it. We'll start in Bakasana, yogi squat. If your heels are off the ground, like this, a couple things may be going on. You may have tight Achilles tendons, you may have tight calves, and you may also just have your feet too close together. If you're turned sideways or regular way on your mat, in Bakasana, your heels should be on your mat, toes off of your mat. That nice wide stance should allow you to get your heels down. Maybe your hips are lifted a little bit higher, or maybe they're nice and low. And just stay here for a second. Press down with the pinky toes, lift your arches, and then see if you can get your spine a little bit straighter. What's nice about flying frog is it requires a little bit less core, a little less inner thigh strength, but it does allow you to get familiar with being on your hands. Move your elbows to your inner thighs and put your hands down on your mat. Tiptoe your fingertips forward and lift your heels. Look out beyond the end of your mat and start to just bend your arms. You don't have to do anything with your feet yet. Just bend your arms and try to bring your nose down. Good. Now press it back up. Now this time, keep your knees pushing away from one another. Lift your heels as you bend your arm. Flying frog. Very nice. Great way to warm up your arms. If you're afraid of face planting, you can take a block and put it out in front of you so your forehead can come to that if you go a little too far. If you feel like you're falling forwards, that means your head is probably looking down too much. Pick your head up, look forward. And if you feel like you're going forward too far, just look up higher and it'll bring you back. All right, so that's flying frog. That would be our level 1 for this option. Level 2, crow pose. Start in a squat, feet together, knees separate. Bend your elbows and bring your chest down. And depending on your flexibility, this might be somewhere up here, or you may be way down here. It doesn't matter, just get in a nice little stretch for your hips. This is also a great thing to do if you have any discomfort through your lower back or any tightness there. Nice and relieving. Pull your elbows back so that your triceps and your shins line up. Then press your hands into your mat. Lift your heels and lift your butt way up in the air. Move your knees into your armpits. So if you had deodorant on, you might leave little deodorant stains on your kneecaps. That's a sign that you're doing a good job. From here, think about bending your arms and maybe just pick up one foot to start. See if you can make the other toes light by shifting weight into your fingertips and bending your arms a little bit more. Then maybe try picking up the other foot. And then you've done crow pose. Very nice. If you have any questions, you can always reach out through email to me, yogawithjq@gmail.com. Hopefully I can answer and give you guys some more helpful tips and things like that. Next, I'm going to give you the advanced option for this video, and that's called crane. So it would be like crow, but with straight arms. This version requires a lot more core. So when you do regular crow, you can get away with doing it one of two ways. You can do it with your feet low and your back kind of flatter, or you can do it with your feet high and your back a bit rounder. Notice how my arms are still bent. This is creating a shelf for my knees to rest on. When you get into crane and your arms straighten, you don't have that shelf anymore. So it's all about pulling your knees up towards your chest. So let's start in Navasana, boat pose, balancing on the end of the spine, on the sacrum tailbone area. Lift your shins up, pull your elbows, your shoulders back, and lift your elbows up level with your knees. And just breathe. As you exhale, pull yourself in tight. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, pull. All right, now separate your knees. Put your elbows on your knees. Look familiar? Crow pose. From here, I want you to think about rounding your back, pulling your tummy away from your thighs as you draw your knees towards your armpits. Exhale. I know this looks ridiculous, but just do it. Nice. All right, so that pulling sensation is going to feel different when your butt is up in the air because you have gravity coming down on you, but it will help you get warmed up for it. So, pull your knees up as high as you can get them. Remember, crow pose can be done with the knees down at the elbows, or it can be done with the knees higher. Knees higher sets you up for doing advanced straight arm crane pose. From here, lift one foot, then the other. Keep the weight in your fingertips, keep looking forward. Now pull your belly button away from your thighs, rounding your back. Push your shoulders down away from your ears and start to straighten your arms out. I'm really squeezing hard through my inner thighs and through the top part of my abs, lifting my belly button away. Very nice. Crane pose. And for the super extra advanced, if you are working crow or crane to handstand, from there, you would just keep lifting with your bum. I'll demonstrate in a second after I catch my breath. If you're doing crow to handstand, not going through crane, which is more common for guys to do because of their upper body strength, you'll want to get, bear with me, you'll want to get your hips really high and elbows stay in. If your elbows flare out, we start to get into some problems up in the upper shoulders. So elbows in, and then you'll push all the way up into the handstand. If you're doing it from crane pose, it's more of an action of opening the shoulders as you lift your hips. So remember when we were in high plank, and we leaned forward, and we pushed back, forward and back. That sensation of pushing with the arms is really going to help you take your crane up into a handstand. Another great thing you can do if you have resistance bands is close them in a door, like make a knot on one end, close it in your door, and then just practice pulling up. Up, All right, so I'm going to show you guys how to take straight arm crow into handstand. So we lift the heels, we straighten the arms, we pull the belly button up, and I'm going to stop talking for a second so I can use my breath. Hold it in the tuck, find your stability, and then straighten your legs back up. Focus on pushing up through your shoulders and pulling your ribs in. Then maybe you want to take it back down. Voila. If you have any questions, again, email me at yogawithjq@gmail.com. Thank you for taking the time to stop by Heart Alchemy Yoga, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.